Across the ruins of ancient tombs buried in the Egyptian sands, a figure stirred within a citadel carved from stone and celestial alloy. In Saba-Nur, Apocalypse had once again risen from slumber. His crimson eyes burned beneath the ornate armor, his voice echoing with arrogance born of millennia. For him, time was meaningless. Civilizations were but fragile experiments to test his great philosophy. Only the strongest deserved to endure. He had watched humanity evolve, falter, and rebuild itself countless times. Now whispers of a new power spread through the ether, reaching even his hidden sanctums. It was not the emergence of a mutant army, nor the awakening of a forgotten god, but something stranger, a psychic storm laced with the rage of Magneto and the dark recesses of Charles Xavier's mind. This storm birthed a being known only in hushed terror, Onslaught. Apocalypse studied these whispers with fascination. Evolution, after all, often birthed monstrosities before perfection. Yet Onslaught was not merely another mutant anomaly. He was a fusion of ideologies and powers so immense that even Apocalypse sensed the shift in the balance of the world. A being born of both dreams and nightmares, a creature of godlike telepathy and telekinesis, wrapped in the armor of Magneto's fury. For Apocalypse, this was both threat and opportunity. If Onslaught represented the next step of evolution, Apocalypse needed to test him. If he proved unworthy, he would be destroyed. If he proved strong, then perhaps even Apocalypse would need to reconsider what it meant to be the apex of mutant kind. Meanwhile, in the cities of man, Onslaught's presence grew like a plague. Entire populations trembled as psychic voices whispered in their minds, turning their dreams into prisons. Governments collapsed into paranoia. Armies raised weapons against shadows, and the X-Men themselves faltered before the crushing will of their twisted father figure. When Onslaught moved, reality itself bent, metal warped under his command, thought became weapon, and his armor-clad form towered like an avatar of destruction. Apocalypse observed this chaos from the shadows, his mind calculating. He stood upon a balcony, overlooking his ancient pyramids, speaking to no one but himself. This being dares to claim dominion through fear and confusion. He does not cull the weak, he enslaves them. Such a philosophy is flawed, unworthy of true evolution. Yet his strength, it rivals God's. Perhaps the time has come for Apocalypse to confront the very embodiment of power without purpose. In the astral plane, Onslaught sensed him. Like a predator sniffing the air, Onslaught's consciousness pierced through time and distance. His deep, distorted voice rippled across Apocalypse's mind. In Saba-Nur, the so-called Eternal One, do you seek to challenge me, or bow before inevitability? Apocalypse smirked, unfazed by the mental intrusion. His mind was a fortress, forged over centuries of war, betrayal, and survival. I bow to none. I do not recognize inevitability, only strength proven in battle. If you are evolution incarnate, Onslaught, then you shall face my judgment. The astral plane shuddered with Onslaught's laughter, cold, mechanical, and cruel. Then come, ancient relic. Test yourself against the future. You will see what true power is. The stage was set. Across the world, storms gathered unnaturally, cities darkened, and technology faltered under Onslaught's psionic aura. Apocalypse, clad in his towering celestial armor, prepared for war. He called forth his machines, reshaping his body into a weapon of destruction, his molecular structure shifting as if molten steel coursed through him. His towering frame cast a shadow across his fortress as portals of celestial origin opened around him, summoning weapons designed to pierce even the strongest mutant flesh. But Apocalypse knew this battle would not be won by brute force alone. He needed strategy. Onslaught was not a man, he was the combined rage of gods and mortals. If Apocalypse charged blindly, he would be crushed beneath psionic storms. No, this would be a war of endurance, manipulation, and patience. Meanwhile, Onslaught manifested in the heart of New York City, his armored form blotting out the skyline. His voice thundered in the minds of millions, Apocalypse comes. He claims to be the survival of the fittest. I will show him that the future belongs not to conquerors, but to inevitability. He is a fossil clinging to obsolete philosophies. The world trembled at the thought of their confrontation. Heroes and villains alike watched in silence, knowing that when two such titans clashed, entire nations could be reduced to dust. Apocalypse emerged upon the battlefield, striding through the wreckage of Times Square. His presence radiated dominance, his armor gleaming with alien light. Onslaught awaited, towering above him, a mountain of psychic energy contained in armor that seemed to pulse with Magneto's fury and Xavier's cold intellect. The two did not attack immediately. For beings of such immense power, words were the opening blows. "You enslave minds to your will," Apocalypse declared, his voice shaking the ground. "You spread fear and chaos, not evolution. That is weakness disguised as strength." Onslaught's crimson eyes flared like suns. "And you, Apocalypse, are bound by outdated beliefs. You seek strength through trial and combat, but I have transcended such petty measures. I am the culmination of thought, rage and inevitability. I am beyond evolution." Their words rippled through the city, each syllable a psychic quake. Skyscrapers groaned, glass shattered, and the very air bent around them. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Ancient philosophy clashed with psionic inevitability, each determined to prove supremacy. And then, Apocalypse raised his hand, reshaping it into a cannon of celestial fire. Onslaught's aura flared, the ground warping beneath his presence. The first blows had not yet been struck, but the storm of destiny was already upon them. The first strike shattered the silence. Apocalypse's arm transformed into a colossal cannon of celestial fire, erupting with beams hot enough to melt steel and crack stone. Times Square became a crucible of flame as skyscrapers shuddered, neon signs imploded, and the ground itself boiled. Yet Onslaught stood unmoved. His armored form absorbed the torrent, a swirling barrier of psionic energy wrapping around him like a cocoon. Then, with a thought, he struck back. Invisible hands seized Apocalypse, hurling him through a row of buildings like a toy. Concrete rained down, cars tumbled end over end, and the city wailed beneath the clash of gods. Apocalypse emerged from the rubble unscathed, his body shifting and repairing, his stature growing until he towered nearly as tall as Onslaught himself. His voice boomed across the battlefield. "You cannot destroy me, child of fury. I am eternal." Onslaught's eyes burned crimson. "Then I will bury you beneath eternity itself." With a gesture, Onslaught unleashed a psychic storm. The skies split open with arcs of psionic lightning, buildings twisted into impossible shapes, and the screams of millions echoed through the astral plane as he brushed against the minds of the city's population. Apocalypse staggered for a moment as the psychic assault slammed into him, voices of doubt and despair clawing at his mind. But he was no ordinary mutant. His will had been forged in the fires of centuries. He roared, his body expanding, molecules warping as his form grew monstrous, armored plates sprouting like living weapons. The ground cracked beneath his steps as Apocalypse charged. He swung a hand the size of a truck, slamming Onslaught across the battlefield. The psionic avatar skidded back, shattering the pavement, his armored chest denting from the blow. But before Apocalypse could follow through, Onslaught's mind lashed out. Invisible blades of thought sliced into Apocalypse's brain, forcing him to his knees as he clawed at the mental onslaught. Still, Apocalypse resisted. He reshaped his body, his skull elongating into alien design, shielding his mind with layers of shifting neural patterns. He surged forward, tackling Onslaught through a skyscraper. The tower collapsed around them, fire erupting into the night sky, while shockwaves rattled the city for miles. Onslaught rose from the wreckage, his aura intensifying into a blazing inferno of psionic fire. He clenched his fists, and the very laws of physics bent. Cars floated into the air, glass shards hung suspended like daggers, and the air itself vibrated with unstable energy. "You are powerful, Apocalypse," Onslaught growled, "but you are bound by matter. I am beyond flesh, beyond metal. beyond metal, beyond the primitive limits of evolution. Apocalypse laughed, his voice reverberating like thunder. And yet I stand. You speak of transcendence, but you bleed. You are nothing more than rage chained in armor. He struck again, this time unleashing celestial energy directly into Onslaught's chest. The blast ripped through armor, tearing at the psionic shell that contained him. For the first time, Onslaught staggered. The ground cracked as he slammed to one knee, his crimson aura flickering like a dying star. Apocalypse loomed over him, raising a hand forged into a hammer of molten alloy. You will kneel before Apocalypse, or you will be broken. But before the blow could fall, Onslaught's eyes blazed with a fury that shook the city. His mind detonated outward, a psionic shockwave that hurled Apocalypse back miles, smashing him through bridges and into the river. Water exploded upward, like a tidal wave as Apocalypse rose again, his armor scorched, but his eyes still burning with defiance. Onslaught descended like a meteor, his aura forming wings of psychic fire. He crashed into Apocalypse, pinning him beneath oceans of telekinetic force. Apocalypse roared, his molecules shifting desperately, blades, cannons and armor forming and reforming as he tried to break free. He fired beam after beam, shaking the night, yet Onslaught's power only grew heavier, pressing him down, warping reality itself around his foe. The battle raged for hours. Apocalypse's endurance was staggering, his strategies relentless. He cloaked himself in matter manipulation, split his form into dozens of molecular projections, and even tried to invade Onslaught's mind with his own telepathy. For a brief moment, he gained ground, forcing Onslaught back into the astral plane, their wills colliding like thunderheads. There, Apocalypse glimpsed the fractured psyche of his opponent, Magneto's rage, Xavier's darkness, Franklin Richards' untempered potential, weaknesses, cracks. You are not one being, Apocalypse taunted. You are a mistake, a fracture pretending to be whole. Onslaught's fury was volcanic, his form expanded, filling the astral plane with a storm of fire and shadow. And yet I am more than you could ever become. With that, Onslaught unleashed his full might. Reality warped, the astral plane tearing into the physical. The sky bled red, gravity faltered, and New York itself seemed to collapse into nightmare. Apocalypse resisted with everything he had, anchoring himself with celestial energy, bellowing his defiance into the storm. He struck blow after blow, his fists like meteors, his cannons like suns. Onslaught faltered, armor cracking, psychic energy spilling like blood. For a heartbeat, Apocalypse stood triumphant. But Onslaught was not finished. Summoning the combined wrath of Xavier's psychic force and Magneto's mastery of matter, he forged an attack that transcended both. A psionic singularity opened within Apocalypse's chest, crushing his molecular structure from the inside. Apocalypse roared, reshaping, fighting, refusing to fall. His form dissolved and rebuilt again and again, until at last the strain overwhelmed even his celestial gifts. He dropped to one knee, his body failing to regenerate fast enough. Onslaught loomed over him, his form battered but still burning with unholy light. This is the truth of evolution, Onslaught declared, his voice echoing across plains. Not survival of the fittest, but inevitability of the strongest mind. Apocalypse glared upward, unbroken even in defeat. You have one creature, but you will never be eternal. I will rise again long after your madness consumes you. Onslaught paused, crimson light blazing in his eyes, then turned away. Apocalypse was not destroyed, merely broken. Onslaught's victory was narrow, costly, and incomplete. Yet in that moment, the world understood a new power had ascended, and even Apocalypse, eternal and unyielding, had been forced to kneel.